Mortal, what if I told you that the world you see, the solid, the scientific, the explainable, is only a sliver of what reality truly is? That there exists a path, older than any religion, hidden in plain sight, and so powerful it was buried beneath centuries of fear, fire, and silence. What if I told you that you were never meant to feel powerless, but that someone, or something, ensured you would? This is not a conspiracy. It is a forgetting, a long, careful erasure of a sacred science once practiced by kings, priestesses, philosophers, and souls like yours. It was called alchemy, not the cartoon version you've been shown, men in robes trying to turn lead into gold. No, this was deeper. This was the science of transformation, of awakening, of unlocking the divine blueprint hidden in the very atoms of your body and the thoughts behind your thoughts. And they tried to erase it, because if you remembered who you truly are, if you understood what this ancient knowledge could do, you could no longer be controlled. In this journey, we will uncover the truth behind this lost art, retrace the footsteps of forgotten adepts, and reveal the symbols, rituals, and cosmic laws they used not to escape life, but to master it. This is the forbidden knowledge of alchemy. And now, it is yours to remember. And if you found this, if you're hearing these words now, maybe you're ready. This is not entertainment. This is initiation. You're not watching a video. You're stepping into a forgotten chamber of the soul. Now breathe in slowly. Feel the weight behind your eyes. The ancients left you a key. Will you open the door? Long before modern science, before microscopes, formulas, or laboratories, there were men and women who stared into the fire and saw the language of the stars. They were called alchemists, but they were more than that. They were keepers of a living wisdom, guardians of a sacred flame, passed from temple to temple, from Kem, the black land of Egypt, to Sumer, to Persia, to the silent monasteries of Tibet, and into the underground libraries of Moorish Spain. Alchemy, alchemia, comes from the Egyptian Kem, meaning black earth, but it also hints at something deeper, the dark substance of the soul before it's awakened. You see, ancient alchemy was never merely about metal. That was a metaphor. When they spoke of turning lead into gold, they were whispering about you. Lead, the heavy, dull material, was your unawakened self, burdened by fear, anger, greed, ignorance. Gold, pure, incorruptible, was your higher nature, your divine essence, your eternal self, the you that remembers who you truly are. The alchemical texts spoke in symbols because they had to. The Emerald Tablet, a short passage said to be written by Thoth himself, contains these mysterious words: as above, so below, as within, so without. This wasn't poetry. It was physics before physics. It meant that the entire structure of the cosmos could be found mirrored inside your own consciousness. Now consider this. Why would empires, churches, and kings erase such teachings? Because a person who understands their divine spark can no longer be ruled by fear. Because a soul that has transmuted itself from darkness to light answers to no crown. The knowledge wasn't lost by accident. It was erased with precision. Let me give you one haunting example. In the Library of Alexandria, it's said that among its countless scrolls was the Book of the Black Sun, a text rumored to map the hidden anatomy of the soul, revealing the stages of inner transformation through symbol, geometry, and sound. When the library burned, many say it was an accident, but some historians suggest the fire was set deliberately, not just to destroy the knowledge, but to erase the memory that such wisdom ever existed. But fragments survived, and those fragments are now scattered like ashes on the wind, in Rosicrucian writings, Hermetic manuscripts, and whispered rituals practiced in secret. There's one more thing you should know. Alchemy wasn't the work of lonely sorcerers in towers. It was often practiced inside temples, led by priest-scientists who understood the mind, the body, and the stars as one sacred system. In ancient Egypt, the sacred oil known as mutek, extracted from blue lotus and gold-infused minerals, was applied during initiation rites, not to bless the initiate, but to activate their pineal gland, the eye of Ra, what we now call the third eye. These weren't superstitions. They were sciences of spirit and matter combined, designed to awaken the divine circuitry hidden inside the human body. Alchemy was never a myth. It was a roadmap, a technology of transformation, and it was taken from you. But now, you remember. Symbols. They aren't decorations. They are maps, blueprints, inscribed in plain sight, but only visible to the soul that has begun to awaken. Whereas take the Ouroboros, the serpent that devours its own tail. To the untrained eye, it's just a strange shape. But to the alchemist, it is the cycle of death and rebirth, the eternal dance of energy transforming through decay into divinity. It is also a mirror of your journey, the ego consuming itself so that the higher self may emerge. This is sacred science. Alchemy was not guesswork. It was a refined process that united the cosmos with the inner circuitry of the soul. And like any sacred process, it required discipline, ritual, intention. Let us walk now into one of these rituals. The alchemists of ancient Persia described a chamber deep underground. They called it the Chamber of Drowned Gods. It was not filled with water, but with silence, darkness, and symbols carved into obsidian walls. Here the initiate would sit in total darkness for 7 days, consuming nothing but sacred herbs and water infused with silver ash, not to starve the body, but to feed the spirit, to strip away the noise of the world and confront what the Egyptians called the Sheut, the shadow, self. When the initiate emerged, they had passed through what we now call a neural death, the quieting of the default mind network, allowing visions, revelations, and higher states of consciousness to flood in. Today, neuroscience calls it ego dissolution. Ancients simply called it becoming whole. Another symbol misunderstood, the philosopher's stone. Not a rock, not a thing at all. It was a metaphor for the crystallization of consciousness, a mind so awakened, so aligned with divine law, that it could reshape reality. They called it a stone because it represented the most stable state, a mind that no longer wavers between lower impulses and higher truths. Now, let's speak of the mirror of Sheut. This was not a real mirror, but a state of inner vision. It was reached through a breathing practice combined with visualizing one's darkest memories without flinching. Through this process, the initiate would make peace with the fragmented self, and in doing so, would unlock what alchemists called the second heart. Modern science might call this coherence, when the heart and brain operate in harmonic rhythm. But the ancients knew it by sensation, the feeling of being in rhythm with the stars themselves. Finally, there is the red work, the last stage, of alchemical transformation. It's not about creating gold. It's about becoming a vessel of divine fire. The red work happens when one not only understands the truth, but lives it. When knowledge becomes action. When you walk the world not as a seeker, but as a living key. You become the fire. You become the stone. You become the temple. You become the alchemist. This is no fantasy. It is encoded in your breath, in your blood, in your dreams. You have always known. Let me tell you a forgotten tale. Her name was Sa-Neteru, a priestess of the healing temples of Abydos during the 18th dynasty of ancient Kemet. She was born during a time of famine and fear. Floods had swallowed the crops. The people whispered of curses and divine abandonment. But inside the temple, Sa-Neteru was learning the old ways, how vibration, herbs, and sacred chants could transform not just illness, but destiny itself. One night, after a 40-day purification rite, she entered the sanctum of resonance, a limestone chamber aligned with Sirius, the star of Isis. There, she laid upon the vibrational bed of Ankstone, a slab carved with sacred geometry, tuned to emit low-frequency harmonics when struck. As the priest-healers chanted, the vibrations moved through her bones, her blood, her breath. She didn't hallucinate. She remembered. She remembered who she had been before time, and what she had come to Earth to restore. When Sa-Neteru emerged, she began to heal with only her hands and her voice. People said her touch sounded like music. The sick traveled for miles. The temple flourished. The famine ended. Historians will tell you this is myth, but her chamber still exists, buried beneath the sands, sealed with inscriptions that read, "From sound came light, from light, life. I am the keeper of that light." Sa-Neteru was not a magician. She was an alchemist of the highest kind. She mastered the self, and through that mastery, reality bent around her intention. So now, the flame returns to you, you who has felt the ancient call in dreams you didn't understand, you who sees patterns in symbols others ignore, you who knows there's more to this life than survival, than repetition, than numbness. This is not entertainment. It is a reminder. You are the lead. You are the crucible. You are the gold. But beware. You think alchemy is power. It is a wound, a sacred wound, cut open so the light can enter. And now, it knows your name. If this awakening stirred something in you, if you felt the ancient fire move through your breath, then you are already on the path. Join us. We're piecing the forgotten back together. We need your help to spread the message. Please subscribe now and like the video to help our cause. There is more, so much more, that you were never meant to forget. We'll be waiting between the lines of history and the beating heart of the unseen.